Hi everyone, so just thought I'd jump on really today and just talk to you a little bit more about esmog. Now you notice yesterday's article we were talking about that and the effects that that can have on the body and some simple tips that you can do yourself. So some of those things are, we talked about, is switching your Wi-Fi off at night, putting your phone on airplane mode when you go to sleep, because when you sleep that's when your body does all of its job, so you're adding something into it that the body then affects the body being able to do its job and to recover and repair. Because some of the things, you may not be aware of this, but if people have EMF related symptoms, they can include things like fatigue, weakness, memory loss, visual disruptions, light sensitivity. You can even have skin problems, heart palpitations, dizziness, depression, anxiety, brain fog, something a lot of people complain about, maybe find it hard to concentrate, headaches and migraines. All of these can, not necessarily are, but can be related to EMFs, which are things like dirty electricity, so from your AC and your DC currents. You've got your Wi-Fi's in there, you've got your mobile technology in there, and then we've got all our everyday household products that we use and that can give off frequencies. And now the man-made frequencies come in things like triangle waves, square waves, etc. And these have an impact on the body because they're not natural, so it's much tougher on the body. And other things that can come from that are things like insomnia, night sweats, headaches, and also like your blood pressure and things like that, and can really have an effect on you. So some people become electrosensitivity. Now you might have heard about this, and they end up in a point where they can't cope around products that we use every day, like now I'm using my phone, your computer and all of those things. So it's really good now if you can limit your exposure, because it helps your health. It's really good for your health to affect these. But the other things that can also affect, which people don't realise, is you have things called geopathic stress. And these are lines that run in the earth that contain certain energies. You've probably seen it, those trees where they're growing and they twist round, or they've got big bulbs. And normally that's where they cross on a certain grid, and that can affect the energies of the tree. Some things will grow in them and some things don't. The other thing that things like you might find animals, and some love them and some don't. Cows, for example, there was a study done and they had a problem with a cow. One stall, the cows would leave empty, and they worked it out that this is where the grid was crossing. And so when they put an appliance in that would actually give off the good frequencies and so would support them in that, they started to use that again. And in fact, even the milk production went up by 20%. So it can have a real impact on our cells. And in fact, what we say is like, your cells should be nice and plump and everything, nutrients and toxins are going in and out of the cell like they should do. And the cells can start to sag when esmog gets to them, and so they can't function and do that job properly. So for some of us, over time, that builds up on a pressure and a problem in the body. And so these become like just hard for the body to function like it does. So those things that we suggested yesterday as top tips are things that you can do, everyday things that you can do that can limit your exposure. So one of those might even be, if you've got an electric alarm clock beside your bed, move it to the other side of the room. If you're getting headaches, do you keep your mobile phone on? Because that can really have an impact on your health. So look at those things, switch it off at night, put it onto airplane mode. If you need to have it on, then put it outside of your room so it's not in your sleeping area, so you can still hear it, but it reduces that exposure. Blue lights, we talked about, blue lights really can affect you sleeping, so they can be effective for insomnia. So these are things that you can actually limit that exposure on. So things that you can help yourself with. Microwaves, they give off radiation, so if you use a microwave, which I don't now, but don't stand directly in front of it, because it's giving off radiation to some degree. So little ways that you can help your body and limit your exposures with different things, because we all need technology in life, but then try and cut that exposure down, and how that you can find things that can help and support you. We also do equipment that can help if you have a big problem. For example, in my house in France, we had a big problem with it, with geopathic stress, and we had one of the twisted trees, and that affected our health. So we had a particular machine, it's called a duplex, it's like antennas and aerials that give off all the good frequencies, so they support the body from the effects of geopathic stress. And that really helped, really made a big difference to the whole feel of the house and how you would sleep, etc. So there's lots of different things you can do that are out there that you can change, but start with the basics. Switch your Wi-Fi off at night when you go to bed. You don't need it on during the night, and it will update in the morning. Just takes a few minutes. You know, I turn mine off every night. Yeah, you have to get up in the morning, just remember to switch it on, or you can put a timer on it so that it just switches it off at night, so you lessen that exposure. So these are all good tips that you can do, and we can talk about it a bit more if you have a problem and you think you have a problem, because people do become electrosensitive, and you'll find there are people that have gone off to live off grid because they can't cope with these intolerances. So it's a real interesting subject, looking up about the AC and DC currents and how they have an effect on us and how we can change those things. And there are lots of different solutions out there if you need to know more about that. But really start with those, just those basic everyday things. If we do those, we can cut down earpods. So earpods, should I say? Change them to EMF-free ones. You can get those. They're more air tubes, they're called, but you can research those. And there's something that can help you to limit that exposure as well, especially if you suffer with lots of headaches. Look at mobile technology if you're keeping it near your head all the time. Something that really needs to be thought about, and how you can limit your exposure to that and change it. Use it by voice, don't use headphones, put it on speaker mode, things like that. All help you to lessen on some of these problems. So they're my thoughts for the day. I'm off to do some training now, and we'll speak to you all soon. Take care, have a good evening.